Hello, this is Purge. How you guys doing? I'm back. Been on vacation for about 2 weeks or so. I went to Wisconsin to visit my family with my girlfriend, and afterwards came back and participated in the Mafia Land, which was more or less created by Charlie What Is Hip. Um, I don't know how many other people were super involved in that, but I know there's a lot of collaboration with top Dota personalities for that, and that was really fun. The last day was yesterday. If you guys want to check that out, it was on at the Beyond the Summit house, and it was on the Beyond the Summit stream. If you guys want more information, you can probably go to I don't know if the subreddit's the best place. There's a subreddit, reddit.com/r/mafia-lan is places people are talking about. But if you want to watch the matches, you'll get spoiled there. So, I don't know. Good luck. Good luck finding VODs. But I played a lot of Mafia games while I was there, and might be able to tune into those. So, that said, we are back into the Dota grind, which I'm pretty excited to do because, frankly, I was a little bit late on the patch, the patch came out, and I had like a couple days before I went on vacation, and then I didn't find time to make videos while I was there because, frankly, I was too busy seeing family and relaxing a little bit. So, with that said, let's hop into this Tidehunter game. This is a game that I played right before I left, actually. And it was actually a Captain's Mode game that we scrimmed. This is some of the people from Vegetable Esports Club. This is... Oh yeah, sorry. Actually, I'm actually not supposed to jump to this yet. I'm forgetting my path. This is Melk. This is Freiburg. This is myself. This is Merlini. And this is Winter. We're looking for a fifth to play with us just for this game, and Winter was available. And we were just queuing. We were actually just queuing. It wasn't a scrim even. We were just queuing for like all pick and all the other modes of random draft. And we happened to get a Captain's Mode game. So, with that said, let's hop to the Dota buff. And to do that, I have to go over here and click. Okay, so Tidehunter, mid-tier popularity hero, very good win rate. I would say anything over 50% is pretty good. This popular skill build is bad. You always max Anchor Smash first, pretty much. Gush is actually a pretty good 1-point wonder skill right now. It does 110 damage for 1 skill point, it's a 12-second cooldown, and it lowers armor by 3 on the primary target. So it's a pretty good ability right now. Anchor Smash is definitely the best one. Does up to 225 physical AoE damage that pierces spell immunity, and it increases their base damage by up to 60%, which is amazing, right? The duration is 6 seconds, and the cooldown is 4. So you can basically... For the scope of a team fight, you can really reduce your opponent's damage in the early game, and this works extremely well against agility or stat building based heroes. So if you're playing against a Morphling and he only buys agility items, Anchor Smash is amazing because it will reduce his total damage by 60%. And if you're playing against a sniper or let's say an Ember Spirit buys Battle Fury and Daedalus, neither of those damage items give him base damage increase. They're the plus green numbers. They're plus damage. So the damage reduction from Anchor Smash does not reduce those sources. So that means Anchor Smash is very good against agility based heroes, illusion carriers, illusion diffusal blade carriers, things like that. So keep that in mind when you think about when it's the right time to use Anchor Smash. So your other skill is called Kraken Shell. It damage blocks up to 48. It's a guaranteed damage block, and as you take 600 to 450 damage, it will break your shell, more or less, and remove negative debuffs. So it basically allows you to guarantee that you get a Ravage off in most cases. So it's very difficult to disable Tidehunter and prevent him from casting spells and walking away in most cases. I'm not sure what the threshold timer means. Oh, that's reset. So basically they have to do up to 600 or 450 damage within 6 seconds for it to actually proc. So that means that it won't just... You can't just take like 400 damage and then go to a lane and get hit by a creep twice and boom, your Kraken Shell breaks, which makes a lot of sense. So, pretty balanced skill. If you get a Stout Shield, it does not stack, by the way. The way damage block works is whichever damage block is more will proc. So, for example, if you buy a Stout Shield right now and you have 1 point in Kraken Shell, that means that every time your Stout Shield procs, it will block maximum 20 damage. If your Stout Shield does not proc, then you will damage block 12. So the only time that a Stout Shield is in any way viable on Tidehunter is when you don't have any Kraken Shell levels or you only have 1 skill point in it. So it basically means you shouldn't buy a Stout Shield. It's not worth it. It's much better to go Ring of Protection. You can either build that into I don't recommend Tranquil Boots, but that's an option. Or you can just hold it, make a Basilius, something like that. So I really recommend some levels of Kraken Shell in the early game just because it's going to limit the harass your opponents can do to you. And it basically, think about it. If you actually max Kraken Shell at level 7, most heroes are hitting for no more than 70 damage at that point. That means that when they're attacking you, they're going to do like 20 damage. So it would limit your damage, but the Kraken Shell levels can be really useful in some cases. So skill build is usually going to be 1-1-4, but if you're offlane, sometimes you can delay Gush until later and go like 2 levels in Kraken and then max out Anchor Smash. Kind of depends what you want to do, but almost always you will get 1 level in Gush. You don't usually max it out since it doesn't scale super well, but yeah, that's the skill build. So win rate is pretty good, 52%. Pick rate is very, very low, about 6% of games. If we look at the meta trends, he's actually doing pretty well, I believe. Tidehunter here, his highest win rate is actually at the lowest MMR, the 2 to 3K mark, 52.5%, whereas at the 5K mark he's at 50.32. So not an amazing win rate in the pro scene, but it's actually not that terrible. Well, this isn't pro scene again, but Tidehunter is pretty much very, very rarely picked at the moment. This is actually Winter here, surprisingly. It's the most recent. He kind of won an interesting build. He got an Aether Lens, which I thought about it a little bit afterwards. It does increase your spell damage by 8%, and you do a lot of spell damage. But I like the spell resistance on the item, and the extra mana is not bad if you get an Aghs, because if you get Aghs, you can do AoE Gush. So I kind of like Aether Lens, and the cast range only benefits his Gush. So Aether Lens seems like an okay item for Tidehunter. I just kind of like it because of the spell resistance and the general scaling that it provides you in terms of damage and stuff like that. So Aether Lens is an option, but I didn't go that. I went a very standard build. Standard build is Arcane Boots with a Blink Dagger, if you're playing offlane, for example, because with Blink, it allows you to instantly position your best skill, which is Ravage. And what Ravage does is it basically stuns everybody in a huge AoE, a radius of 1000. So stuns for 2 to 2.8 seconds, and it does 200 to 380 damage. Mana cost is decent, 150 to 325. And the cooldown is huge at 150 because it's arguably one of the best ultimates in the entire game. But the real trick to Tidehunter is that you have to use Ravage to get kills, or you have to use Ravage to swing a team fight. If you're not doing that, then your other basic skills aren't very good. You have a 4-second slow that reduces armor and does maximum 260 damage. You have an Anchor Smash ability, which does 225 physical, and that's really good, but it's more of a disabling damage reduction ability, and it's like a slight damage ability. It doesn't do a lot. And keep in mind, as people's armor goes up, it does less and less damage. So Anchor Smash, if it was magical, I would argue it'd be more OP. But it's a pretty good ability. It's good in the early game, but as it scales late, its redeeming feature is the damage reduction, really. So you really don't, and you have a passive here that does no damage. So you basically are a crappy hero without Ravage. It's pretty straightforward. So being able to position your Ravage really good and get kills out of it is really big. Other common items, Refresher Orb, so you can Ravage twice in a row, which basically stuns your opponents for like 5 seconds and does a lot of damage. Aghanim Scepter is also really good now. As you can see, it has a really high win rate. What it doesn't actually make Ravage better. And the reason Icefog did this is because it would make Tide further one-dimensional. Tide is good because he's a teamfight hero, but if you make Aghs make his Ravage better, then you're still always waiting on Ravage. Once a Tidehunter Ravages, a lot of cases you just don't worry about him because he doesn't do that much. But with Aghs, what it actually does, though, is it turns your Gush into an AoE Gush ability. It lowers the cooldown to 7 seconds, and the cast range is 1800, which is a huge range. It kind of turns it into a Morphling wave, but it's wider and it goes farther. And then it applies it in an AoE, which means that your single target ability on a 12-second cooldown not only gets cooldown buffed, but also hits AoE, and it also lets you lower armor in an AoE. That part's really cool. So 40% slow, -6 armor, 260 damage, and that's on a 7-second cooldown. That means 4 out of 7 seconds you can slow somebody with Gush, and you can reduce their armor by 6, which allows Tide to do more damage, apply more team fight, and also apply more negative armor. It's a really cool change. So I think an eventual Aghanim Scepter is definitely in the line of Tidehunters that are doing well, but I'm not quite sure what the order is. I actually did watch Winter's game here. He basically was in a safe lane versus a Brood, so it wasn't a typical game. He basically just got tons of farm, partially because he last hit amazing, but also because he was against a Brood, and also because he was solo safe lane. I think if you're off lane, you can't go this build, so this build is not really a good example, but I think it's pretty clear that getting an Aghanim Scepter eventually as a Tidehunter is a really good build. Another really good build is Guardian Greaves. After you go Arcane Blink Dagger, or sometimes you can go Arcane Mek, what you can do is turn that into Guardian Greaves. And that way, if you start a team fight and they silence you, but they don't do damage till a Kraken Shell to proc, you can actually still Ravage. And just having that extra armor and that extra heal for your allies is really useful, since Tide doesn't scale that well past his Blink Dagger. Yeah, you can get things like Shiva's, Refresher, Aghanims, but those are all very expensive, and it takes a while to get them. So sometimes just going for a Mech and an Arcanes and a Blink Dagger is really good, and you're saying, okay, I can do pretty much everything I need to do. My team fight's really going to cover my team. We're happy. Obviously, Shiva's is great, Aether Lens is great, Pipe is great as well. Team fight items that help your allies. Now, heroes that you're good against are stunner heroes, basically, because if these guys do too much damage to you, your stuns will be removed with Kraken Shell. So very good against Chaos Knight, Slardar. Phantom Assassin, I'm a little confused about, but it's probably because Tide can bully her really heavily in the early game due to Anchor Smash and Ravage and Gush. He has a lot of nukes that ignore evasion, basically. So it's basically like Tide's kind of like a nuke hero, more or less. And PA can't evade that. So you can just nuke her a lot, you can reduce her damage, she'll often jump on you, and if her damage gets reduced and then she crits a lot weaker, it makes a really big difference. So the damage reduction versus PA is going to be pretty big. I don't know if this is a fact, but I would also guess that Bane has some advantages against PA for that same reason, but those mostly probably don't come into account due to the fact that Enfeeble is often leveled up late. Vengeful Spirit has weak disable. When Venge swaps Tide as well, it often puts Tide out of position, which he actually wants because it allows him to Ravage. So that's my guess why Venge is here. Night Stalker, same stuff. Night Stalker is actually good against Tide. I'm a little surprised to see this advantage here, but it's probably because bad Night Stalkers play against Tide. When you're a Night Stalker versus a Tide, you walk up to him and you silence him, and then you don't attack him. And because of that, he can't break Kraken Shell, and he can't Ravage. The only way to counter that is with a debuff item like a Yule's, a Diffusal Blade, or better yet, a Guardian Greaves, which will remove the silence. So Guardian Greaves will then counter Night Stalker. So maybe that's why we're seeing this advantage, because so many Night Stalkers will just build Greaves to counter that. Very good against PL because he's a agility-based carry. So that means as he spawns illusions, you Anchor Smash, and all of their damage decreases by 60%. It's a huge amount. So Tide versus PL is pretty darn good. You have to deal with the mana drain a little bit, but I found that Tide as a whole is very good versus PL. Plus, you can just Ravage all the illusions, very quickly see which ones are probably the real ones, and figure that out fast. Beastmaster, maybe because Anchor Smash kills the creeps pretty fast. Also, Beastmaster does a large amount of his damage with a lot of summons, which means there's different sources, which means Kraken Shell will be reducing damage by 48 for every single thing hitting him. Also, if he gets roared and starts getting attacked, Kraken Shell will break the roar. So a lot of good reasons why Beastmaster can't deal with Tide. Beastmaster can deal with the other people, and Tide can't very well deal with Beastmaster, but Beastmaster can't kill Tide, so that's where this advantage is coming from. Troll Warlord, very similar thing. If he ever bashes, Kraken Shell breaks. He's made to attack really fast. Kraken Shell reduces all those hits by 48, and he builds a lot of agility items, and Anchor Smash will again reduce those. So a lot of reasons why these heroes aren't good. Now heroes that are good against Tide are mostly magic nuke heroes, for example, because Kraken Shell doesn't block magic damage. You still take the damage. Yeah, it removes the disable, but you still take the damage. So in a lot of cases, Kraken Shell is really dangerous. Alchemist, for example, does minus armor, so minus armor is one counter to damage block. Also, he does a lot of physical damage, and just like DPS is so fast that oftentimes there isn't much Tide can do. Also, Tide doesn't have very good single target focus, and Alchemist is all about regenning. So if you don't have a lot of single target damage, Alchemist can't get killed. Lich has tons of magic damage and has some slows, so Lich can definitely deal well against Tidehunter. Pugna has tons of nukes, and basically it means Tide is very unlikely to kill Pugna. Plus, Pugna can decrep himself to prevent Anchor Smash from doing damage. Also, the only way that Tide can stop Pugna from life draining is by ravaging. So if you ravage and he has an Aghs, he can ulti afterwards. So it's a little tough. I'm sure the Netherward doesn't help either, lowers his mana. Necrophos, lots of magic. This is pure damage, lots of magic. Juggernaut, just kind of Omni Slashes through it, makes sense. And he can also spin to dodge Ravage. And Bristleback probably doesn't care that much about the thing this Tide does. Ravage is probably not a big deal, and most of his damage comes from his ult anyway. So that's basically all the counters and things. He's slightly fast, 305, good base armor of 3.1, sight range is normal, damage is good. His strength gain is amazing at 3 per level, and his other stats are not amazing. So he has some agility issues and a little bit of int issues, but usually build int items. So you should be fine. Alright, and finally, my hero ranking. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to go to my profile. And he's actually my best hero, at least for according to Dota Buff. And keep in mind that those are ranked. Oh no! This has never happened before. Okay, well, I lost. Oh. Alright, there we go. This is what I want to see. I have a 68% win rate with him. He's my 7th most played hero. He used to be my number 1 played hero, but I stopped playing him a little bit more. But he is definitely one of my highest win rates, so I feel like Dota Buff is having some issues right now. Highest win rate. He's right there, so pretty high up. For how many games I've played, I have a very good win rate on him. So that's Tidehunter. Let's hop into the game then, and we can talk about the replay. Now, I mostly focused on going standard items this game. I'm just going to super speed through the drafting stage because it was pretty much new patch here and I wanted to try out Tide. Neither of these heroes are really currently thought to be OP, but I would actually jump the replay here, but I'm quite scared of the client crashing, so because that does happen sometimes. So I'm just gonna let it run its course, even though it's really annoying audio-wise.
Radiant team ban. 10 seconds. Dire team ban. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Reserve 10 seconds. 5 seconds.
Oh my god.
Radiant team pick.
Both these heroes pretty good against Gyro, so I guess it makes sense they banned him if they're gonna pick him. Our bans were pretty weird here. I'm not sure if I agree with some of these. The Sanking one is ultra confusing. I think this is Merlini playing Jug, and Lino is played by Freiberg, and our last pick here was Tidehunter. And I was either going to play Earthshaker or Tide, and I chose to play Tide, and Winter played Earthshaker, because I feel much better at Tide than Earthshaker, so that is why I chose that. Okay, so I'm expecting a scary tri-lane of Vengeful Spirit and Ancient Apparition and Gyrocopter, and because of that I felt like Boots First was the I should probably slow the game down, huh? I felt like Boots First was therefore the necessary item build because they have pretty weak disables in that tri-lane. Basically it's a Vengeful Spirit, he's got a disable, and they've got Gyro who does magic damage, and they've got an AA. So I basically need to be able to run away from those guys. That's the most important thing because they're able to chase me down and do a lot of damage. So I need to make sure that I'm more mobile than them. Now I'm running around in the jungle right now just because I have boots basically. If I'm really fast then and faster than almost all heroes in the early game, then that means I can pretty much play aggressive. And once I'm standing at this position, I'm in a really good place because this means that I actually don't have to worry about the bounty rune top as much. I can, in a lot of ways, guarantee myself here. It's a nice stun by the Lina. Looked like we were going to get top rune for sure, so I'm just going to walk back to the lane and do my best job blocking. I also warded to block the small camp, that way if the tri-lane does end up staying top, then I'll be in a decent place. Now the unfortunate reality is that I was actually in a 1v1 matchup, and I kind of thought about this during the drafting stage, is that I might be actually doing a solo 1v1. But the issue is that I forgot about it when I bought my items. So now having boots is actually really bad. If I'm against a 1v1, I don't want boots because boots aren't going to really help me win that 1v1 matchup unless I use that boots advantage in the first couple creep waves to win my lane. So that means I have to use my boots advantage to outplay my opponent. And the only way that you can do this is generally by hitting them a lot and in some cases, buying an Orb of Venom. In a lot of cases, buying an Orb of Venom in a 1v1 matchup is actually very good to do. And normally I don't do it here. And I've almost probably never bought it on Tide before, but I think this game it was really worth it. If you want to see SB's items, he has a Stout Shield, a Mango, a Tango. He might have two. Might have two of those. I think I could be lasting a lot better. What I saw Winter doing a lot when he was playing that 1v1 is he always goes for the deny with his hit, and he always uses Anchor Smash to get the last hit. That way he's getting both advantages. See here I'm using my Anchor Smash, and sometimes where I maybe didn't need to, for example.
First blood.
I got a level of Kraken Shell here. I also missed that last hit, and I shouldn't have, but I'm basically trying to punish my opponent and utilize my Stout Shield, or I'm sorry, my Kraken Shell to get some advantage here. So I should have probably 2 to 3 more last hits in this case. I was able to pick up an Orb of Venom here, which is good. But you can also criticize me for not having Gush, I think. I also grabbed another Anchor Smash. I really wish that I had Gush. If I had Gush, this is a very easy kill. But you can really see how much Orb of Venom is helping. I was a little confused why the courier was hitting me, or why the tower was hitting me, but
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Unfortunately I did die in 2 hits. Regardless, I got 139 gold, so did he, but I also got experience. So I'm sure my levels are much better than him. Plus we push under towers. Okay, it's not that much better, but I have about a level advantage. I think I really messed up by getting Kraken Shell instead of Gush. If I had Gush, he just dies instantly, and I get a big advantage in that lane, but it forced me to chase him a little bit farther than I needed to. So that's a mistake, definitely. Now, Anchor Smashing after the Gush is usually pretty important. It's a nice bash by him, as if he planned it. Just trying to move forward and pressure him when I can. And again, it is about using Anchor Smash. I kind of burned through a lot of my mana though by doing that. It's the only problem. I actually feel like I messed up this lane in a pretty severe way by not getting Gush. If I had Gush, it was the easiest kill ever. And I didn't think about that very much at the time. But it made a big difference. Like, yeah, if I'm trading hits with the SB, it's something I have to be concerned about. But having the Boots Orb of Venom advantage is enough where he actually doesn't feel comfortable trading. Because if I have mobility advantage over him, which is something that I aimed for with the Boots and the Orb of Venom, if I have that, then I know that he's not going to be happy trading with me very often. He's going to be like, okay, well, I can trade with him, and maybe I'm trading slightly more efficiently, but if I'm ever in danger, then I'm screwed because I'm literally caught. Got another Anchor Smash here, and I'm just waiting out the rest of my clarity here before I go on a aggressive play. Don't necessarily want to force it here. Just a couple hits. He also got an Orb of Venom, which I thought was weird because he actually doesn't have boots yet. I think that was a mistake by him. If he actually I should have anchored earlier. I actually messed that up pretty big. I should have anchored. I should have anchored when he was still gushed. Oh, and then I fucked this up really bad. I actually don't remember what happens here. So, oh, that was shit. That was so bad that I did what I did there. I needed to Anchor Smash him while he was gushed because it reduced his armor by 3, which meant that my anchor would have done approximately 18% more damage. So I would have gotten like an extra 20 damage out of it. I really should Anchor Smash earlier. I don't know why I didn't. I saw the kill here, but I played it a lot safer this time. So I should be doing much better in this matchup. Pretty big mess ups for me. I should be 2-0 right now. And giving him the solo kill was really big as well. But I guess I was kind of screwed in a way. Luckily he was able to clean up the kill a bit, but that shouldn't be happening in a 1v1. Anyways, 1v1's the Tide. Tide is actually pretty fun. I think they're very enjoyable just due to Anchor Smash, and you're very tanky and you can do aggressive things, but you have to be very careful not to get behind. Because if you're playing Tide, yeah, you can stomp your lane if you play really well, but if you get behind it, it really hurts the game in a massive way. My game looks really choppy right now, but I don't know if that's just because my frames are like half of what they were a bit before. So please, it looks like I'm all tabbed for a second. So I'm not sure if things look weird on your guys' side, but I have been able to farm my Arcane Boots now.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Can't TP for 5, otherwise I would have gone. Still waiting to see if looks like we can take a fight. No need to Ravage here, obviously, just because it's just one guy. He got a little lucky on his bash there. So the Lina ended up dying, but it was overall okay for us. So I rotate. I didn't need to Ravage, but I did help out a little bit. It wasn't terrible. And now I kind of need to run back to the top lane, or I can try to set up a kill mid. I don't really like that I'm running through the river here. I think that's a bit of a mistake, but I'm not walking up to the creep wave because there was a chance that the Invoker would come back. So I didn't necessarily want to walk by the creep wave. I think I could have waited like another fraction of a second longer as well, but I did not. Rune's gone. Back to the top lane for more experience. Got to grab another TP. Should have walked a little faster maybe. And now I queue up Blink Dagger. Very happy to do damage to him right now. I believe he doesn't have very much regen. He has at least one Tango. Unfortunately didn't have a TP scroll just yet.
Radiant's bottom tower
if I had a TP there, I maybe could have defended. I actually feel like I'm playing the early game very poorly this game, unfortunately. Again, just doing some damage to him. Should really have bought a TP by now. I think we're going for a kill here. That's what was going on.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I'm moving so I can see when Winter is getting ready to fissure, basically. I think we're waiting for another hero. I really don't have very much mana. We're thinking about going for this, but it's pretty dangerous, especially with Ven showing up. Yo, he actually bashed so much. He got a free bash there. I knew that he had already charged, so he had a little bit of cooldown to be able to go on me. So now I just have to make sure that his line of sight is not good enough. So now I'm just starting to juke through trees.
Radiant's middle tower is
Now
under
it's time
attack.
to go back to base. So I had to Ravage there. It was the only way that I survived. And trading a Ravage for not dying I think is okay if you have allies in the area. And I started juking the Sunstrike, but it actually got me. I was like, damn, he actually nailed me. That was a fun one. So again, next goal is Blink Dagger. My farm is definitely behind where it should be. I should have gotten the kill on the SB, and I should have gotten the second kill on the SB, and that would have pressured him a lot more. He's got about the same items as me. I don't think we're that different really in terms of net worth. Yeah, we're about the same, but I should definitely be ahead in my opinion. Gonna put more levels in Kraken now.
Killing spree.
Without Ravage, there's very little chance of me being able to kill the AA, so for now, I continue to play safe. I should have gone to the large camp here, I think, instead of going back to the creep wave. Because I could farm I have full mana, so I can farm the large camp with Anchor Smash. With 2 points in Kraken, and reducing their damage by 60%, I probably take no damage from neutrals, so I should have been neutraling this whole time. I'm not farming as efficiently as I should be. I do have a TP possible for bottom. Barely caught the invoker. Should have gushed before I anchored. I'm immediately going to farm because I figure I'm not going to be able to get there in time. That Ravage is good. That was a really good fight for us. Sometimes you just have to know the range of your Ravage, because if you can land those little edge shots against good players, it's massive. Because we were basically able to get a double kill out of it. I mean, obviously there's a lot of other things going on in the fight that weren't necessarily just me, but unfortunately lost that one range creep. That's a pretty big mistake. But getting that many last hits guarantees that I have my blink, and now I've got blink, so feels pretty good. For 11 minute, I think 11-minute blink is pretty good. I should have some more last hits, and I should have like at least 1 or 2 less deaths, but I'm gonna stack this up before I farm it. Oops, I misclicked a little bit. I also think I didn't pull very well. Yeah, I actually messed up the pull. I also did a side pull, that was a little weird. Alright, break the smoke, walk away.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Not sure where that smoke was aiming for, but
Regeneration.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
We're basically just waiting to see where they show up, I think. Or if they come forward and push. We'd have to do a gush into a Lina stun, followed by her ulti. It's the only way we could get a kill, so I have to play this very safe to either bait them or make them think that we're... Should have had that last hit. It's like Ben called first. I look really solo here. Okay. Oh, that's right. A died doing. Oh, that's right. He juked and killed himself to a neutral. That was a pretty good Ravage. There's a lot of heroes there. Again, I should have gushed before I anchored. I got a second point of Ravage here. When I was watching Winter's replay, he actually doesn't get the second point. I guess he feels like it's not worth it. I don't think it's a terrible point. It does increase the mana cost by a lot. It goes up by 50%, and the damage only goes up by like 40% or something like that. Yeah, about 40%. 45%. Damage goes up by 45%. Is that, am I crazy? No, it is 45.
Middle tower is under attack.
This 50% would be 300. So damage goes up by about 50%, stun duration goes up by 0.4. I don't know, I think it's pretty good to level this up. I feel justified in doing it. I wanted to start building Aghs, but somebody said I should get Mek. So built the buckler. This is pretty easy.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Apparently the catapult to the creeps got the kill. It's really nice what Blink can do for you, just aggressively. It doesn't have to be for Ravages, it just could be for movement, escaping, all of these other reasons. Every time the creep wave is up, I should be bucklering it. Making it clear that I did not have a Ravage.
Is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Ben looking pretty dead here. So go back to the top lane and go push it out. And A TPing. Just need one more hero to go for this kill. He's a Fairy Fire and about 700 HP. Just need one more blink from Quap and that's a dead hero. A did a really nice job there. He did a lot of damage to the Quap with not a whole lot of time. I really shouldn't have gotten hit by that. It's pretty poor play. Actually really hurt me because I have Ravage mana right now too. Or I have Ravage up, so with the second point of Ravage and the EMP, I got really hurt. Alright, headdress purchased. I maybe should have purchased the recipe first, since it's a little harder to build. Items if you're curious.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen.
That was weird, Jaro almost TP'd there. I did use my blink to go for the smoke, which is maybe a mistake, because if I find somebody now, I need to have blink.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Got an easy kill.
That was perfect.
I actually couldn't have killed that guy if I wanted to. My blink wasn't off cooldown fast enough. And I wasn't going to Ravage for it. That would have been a waste, I think. In a moment like this where you get a kill and you think that your team can handle the tower, sometimes it's good like this to back off into the jungle a bit and take a camp or two. So I know they're going to be able to handle it.
Dire structures are fortified.
Really good ice blast. I'm not sure if I should have ultied there. Pretty straightforward Ravage there. We got the kill. Ben may or may not live, and then we get out afterwards. I'm just looking to see if I can help out in any way. Still sticking around. It's important to look at the enemies once in a while, just so you know whether or not they're actually there still, or where they're looking, where they're gonna run. Watching based on map is not always the right choice. In most cases, it's really bad. A lot of people don't look enough with their eyes. Looking with your eyes gives you so much more information. So Mek is complete now. Makes our team fight a little bit better, but I got no Ravage for about 2 minutes.
Middle tower is under attack.
I think this is like the most standard Tide build ever, with the exception of the magic or the Orb of Venom. By the way, if you are playing against an Invoker, you need to have a magic stick. If he's going Quasflex, you need to have it, because there are so many situations where you need to have a little bit of mana. Unfortunately, I tried to blink on the other side so you couldn't walk through, but I messed that up.
From this plane, I am driven.
A little knife play.
But you should always have a magic stick, pretty much. Almost always. Almost every game. Unless you're playing carries, you pretty much are always going to want a magic stick at some point. There's some cases where if you're doing really well, you should skip it, because it slows down some of your incredible items that can really just like win you a game. But in a lot of cases, it makes a ton of sense to go for those the magic stick.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
So I'm standing slightly to the left because I know if I find the team smoking, for example, that I'll be in a good place for that. Didn't have Ravage here, unfortunately. My mech missed the missed Quap, unfortunately, because of the lift. This looks really bad. Maybe should have waited for one more magic stick. That actually worked. That was pretty crazy. Oh, he did actually get ice blasted. That's pretty big. As a whole, yeah. As a whole, bad fight for us. By all means, bad fight. If I had Ravage there, it could have gone a lot different, because I could have stunned the Invoker and the other hero right at the start, but fortunately didn't have Ravage in time, so. So now we figured they were Roshin, so we're going to go see if we can mess with them. So it treads Lena, basically, and myself.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So with us coming, they decided to back off, which felt kind of okay, but the nice part is we had an Observer Ward. Oh man, it's actually so low.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Fortunately, I didn't use my mech in time. Blade Mail makes things harder, so I'll TP back now. Going for that kill was pretty interesting. I didn't really have that much follow-up, and I should have gushed before I anchor smashed. And I probably should have just killed the Venge right at the start. I got them all very, very low, and that was good, but in a lot of ways it's almost always more important just to kill somebody at the start, because it limits their spell contribution. Like, it basically means, like... Basically means there won't be a Venge stun, there won't be a Venge swap, things like that. I was able to kill the gyro at least, that part was good. We also lost our Observer Ward for that, but winning a team fight like that, it was quite good. So I think I waited just long enough. The Quap was in the area and we were able to score the kills. So it was pretty good fight. And I've got Guardian Greaves, so doesn't really make my hero that much stronger, but it does severely reduce the cooldown of the mech, and it also allows me to give myself more mana. And it also, the most important thing is that it now costs no mana to use it. That's really big here. Thought maybe he had up run left, but looks like Ben had actually found the right one. He wasted his Omni Slash, but it's okay. So now that I finally finished my my boots, I kind of baited Winter into this one. Oh, that was a really nice swap actually. I felt like going for that kill was okay because it was just a measly little AA, but the problem was that once I commit myself to getting cold feeded, it kind of screws me over entirely. Also, AA does a lot of magic damage, so Tide is weak to that, especially with the Ice Vortex going down. It makes me very weak to magic damage, so it's one of the ways to deal with me. I also baited Winter into that one, because the only way that Winter... I mean, I felt strong because we had two heroes, but the issue is that it's an Earthshaker. Like, I basically have a Fissure, and then he's got to walk in for his next combo, and if I can't do that, then my contribution is very weak. So, I'm up in about 10 seconds here. For some reason, the Invis didn't remove when he used Tornado. I really thought that was mechanically how it worked, so I don't know. It was weird. TP in mid. I also used Mek here, which is maybe a mistake. I perhaps should have just saved it for the actual fight. Maybe that was a different fight I'm thinking of. Yeah, I'm thinking of a different thing. Oh, I got wrecked on the side here. I think my Ravage was alright. I think the issue was my camera movement. I don't know if I could hear the Spirit Breaker charge when I was playing. I heard it now. So it seemed clear that the guy that wasn't smoked was the guy getting charged, which means that they're likely going to go on him and not the rest of the people. But I'm unsure. I feel like my Ravage was maybe a little bit too early. I think I should have held back a little bit longer before I went for that. They also swapped out the guy in the worst position, which was Invoker. And I also got fissured on the kind of the wrong side, and they just kind of blew me up with magic damage. So at this point, it was very clear that I was honestly just taking way too much magic damage, and I needed to deal with that. So I was forced to buy a cloak rather than building towards Aghs like I wanted to. They just have too much magic damage on the enemy team, and if I can't deal with that, it's a really bad place. Like, it seemed like I was squishy as hell in that last fight. That's probably because I got Vortex Rocket Barrage, and that's like 800 magic damage or something crazy once reduction kicks in. Well, you know what I mean. It won't actually increase the damage. It'll probably just cancel out reduction, I believe. So, still have Orb of Venom. Isn't really that useful, but it's okay to have. A 12% slow against a certain hero in a fight could make a difference. Don't think Winter has Blink just yet. He does not. But I've got Ravage in about 60, so we can just farm aggressively for now. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I actually blocked the large camp here. That was a mistake. I could have blinked to dodge it as well. Oh, it's actually still there. Oh, he actually does that. Couple late TPs here. I think I got my ult off for the heal, which was nice. Alright, Ravage is up now.
is under attack.
So now we just kind of fight as 5.
Dire's top tower has fallen. Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's structures are falling.
Alright, I mech this one for sure, right? Actually TP'd back to Ace, so that was a bit of a waste.
Dire's top tower
I feel
is
like
under
against an Invoker I should just have a full magic wand as well, rather than just a magic stick. I'm not completely sold on that, but considering I had both a magic stick and an Orb of Venom, I very clearly had item slots. I feel like I should have just completed that early in the game, like once I made my Blink Dagger maybe. It's kind of hard to say, but it's not that expensive. Circlet 2 Ironwood branches is $265, and it gives me up to 7 more charges, not to mention the mana pool. Blinked away because I didn't want to give him the chance to charge me here. It's also showed me in the top lane, so it means they might be more likely to go on somebody mid. So one of the downsides to having Arcane Boots, or I'm sorry, Guardian Greaves, is that now I don't want to just use my Greaves to raise my mana. And I believe that's actually an issue that comes to fruition soon. So I used it there, and immediately after we smoked. And I was like, huh, if a fight happens in the next 30 seconds, I fucked up. Just wait for it.
Coming through.
Should have ravaged before he BKB'd.
Force me into retirement, really?
I maybe should have just ravaged right away, because there was a chance that they were all together, but not sure. If I would have ravaged right at the start and gotten A Invoker, I think we would have just won the fight, but I didn't quite react in time, I guess.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures.
I'll speed things
are
up a little
Radiant's
bit.
middle tower has fallen. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So moving on across the map, item checks if you guys are curious. Looks like Ben went for a Treads SNY with a Shadow Blade, which I think is decent in this game. Going for a pipe after my Guardian Greaves because my team is still having a little bit of trouble with some nuke damage, such as Call Down. We deal with Call Down, SB Burst, Invoker Spells, AA Ice Blast. There's a lot of things that we're having trouble tanking, and putting a lot of magic resistance on top of that is a really good solution. Keep in mind Puff. Oops. I combined Pipe and buffed. Pipe was buffed. It not only does the protection, but it also gives a passive 10% magic resistance aura to everybody near you. So it's kind of like a weak version of, and not even a weak version, it's a half-strength version of the Rubik aura. So it's quite good. I like Pipe a lot right now. I think I buy it a little bit too much. Sometimes it's the wrong time to buy it, because Pipe really scales off pretty heavily. I feel like my frames issues just ended. Am I crazy? But I feel like Pipe scales off pretty heavily. It's really strong for like 10 or 15 minutes, but as soon as you're losing the game, I think Pipe is a negative thing. If the game is close, it's good. Otherwise, I love that. I love that. Oh, I actually didn't get hit by that, but I could have sworn that I got hit by it.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen. There
was no obs up there. I you're hiding here, this is yeah, I knew he was gonna go. Alright, I literally fucked up my blink. Forgot about that. Luckily, Ben was able to finish him up. Just gonna reduce the damage of the SB a little bit here. Nice charge by SB. I think it was a good initiation by Winter. We just were all really slow. As soon as the gyro came up and we knew he had BKB, going for the chain initiation is almost always the right play. And I perhaps should have followed up with a Ravage. In fact, I tried to, but I think I must have either cancelled my command or I put them too close together or something. But I missed my Ravage. I only caught the Venge with it. We did kill him, but obviously terrible Ravage. Got most of my pipe finished. I think the last piece is like 800.
Illusion.
Trying to use it to farm, I think, the illusion set is. Stuff going on, man, it looks like. I really should be looking towards our allies. Alright, looks like they did get to disengage. Orb of Venom's working nicely. Alright, and there's the pipe completed, so. Sometimes going passive and farming on Tide for a while is pretty nice to do. I'm probably going to have to go back and heal, though, because with pipe I have another item that's going to cost mana to use. So I've hurt myself a little bit in the mana department. So I'm going to TP back to base, grab another teleport scroll, and then be out on the map as soon as my mana's full. Especially with Ravage level 3, it costs 325. 380 magic damage is actually really good, and 2.8 stun. You could also, if you're not getting something like a pipe, other good items are Force Staff. I think Aether Lens is okay. You can go Aghanim Scepter. That's really what I wanted to do instead of pipe, but I felt pipe was a little bit too important this game for the needs of the team, to keep everybody alive and stuff. I'm just gonna tank this for the jug here, so you don't have to use any healing word or anything. My regen's actually really good right now. I've got about 20 HP per second. Makes a bit of a difference. Actually, it doesn't help good well against AA. That's the other issue. If you build regen heavy, it only works if they don't have an AA. But killed that guy really fast.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
If they tornado, it seems like they want to fight.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I think that was a pretty good fight. As soon as I saw a bunch of people, I see the reason I didn't Ravage, if you're wondering. When we went high ground, basically, oh, I missed Winter there, unfortunately. When I went to the high ground by the secret shop and I saw like 4 heroes, the reason I didn't Ravage is because not all of our team is very mobile compared to us. Like, I have a Blink Dagger, obviously, but a lot of my team doesn't. So if I would have Ravaged there, yeah, I would have Ravaged everybody and that would have been cool. But the reality is that there wouldn't have been follow-up. And when you Ravage teams, you need to make sure that your team is there to follow up. It's one of the nice things about Ravage. It's like, their team just doesn't move for almost 3 seconds, and you know that. And with that, you can set up a lot of heroes to be useful, like Troll Warlord, for example. Troll Warlord's biggest problem is that people they don't stop moving, so you can't just focus somebody down, because you either have to BKB, or they're going to walk away from you, or if you don't get a bash, they get away. There's a lot of reasons why it's really, really important that Ravage hits while your team is ready. Same thing that makes Black Hole good. It means that your opponents don't move for 4 seconds. So it's very crucial. It might seem subtle, but it's very crucial that you only Ravage at crucial moments. So the moment I Ravaged, Spiritbreaker was already past me, Gyro was already dead, the rest of their team was coming in to back him up and to continue the chase due to the Ice Blast being kind of okay. And it was with that moment that I said, okay, I'm going to Ravage the back line. It's going to disable them while we deal with the Spiritbreaker. Ben was able to Omni Slash him, which obviously kills him very easily. And with that advantage, stun the back line, keep them disrupted enough where we can follow up afterwards. Like, Ravaging at the crucial moment is really important when you play Tide. It probably works fine at low MMRs because people just run at each other, and then all of a sudden Tide ravages 5 people consistently, but you have to be very careful with your timing on those kinds of things. Otherwise your hero's value is missing a lot. Same goes for heroes like Warlock and stuff like that. So, with that said, we're going to be working on an Aghanim Scepter next because I finally have all the tank items I need. My pipe usage was also really important. Went to high ground, saw a lot of heroes, saw the more were coming. Pipe up the Lina, which kept her alive because obviously I gave her 400 HP, which is a massive amount. Really limits what SB can do actually, because SB is largely a magic burst hero, and he went Blade Mail Treads, so his burst is very limited. His overall damage output is not very good, and if you can pipe up a couple core heroes, it makes a big difference in survivability. Those are actually a lot of gold. Should have gotten at least one more of those. I didn't do that very well. Missing less is just like too big of a mistake. Trying to get my mana pool up a bit more.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Make sure you keep your camera aimed towards where your opponents are likely to come from. It's really important. I could have blinked right there when those two heroes are grouped, but I got interrupted. So I'm just kind of looking for an opportunity here. Still waiting for them to group up, and then we go in. We have Aegis on Ben there, so they actually got some pretty crucial items just now. We didn't feel very comfortable about our pushing at this point. Maybe I should have forced it and Ravaged or something, but and I should be... Ooh, we gotta swap actually. We can get there in time because it's Aegis, so. And they very wisely ran away because I would have been able to get there in time for a Ravage heal pipe. I don't think we felt too bad about that. I feel like that Aegis was a while ago, so.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has been denied.
I feel like I haven't done nearly enough farming in the last couple minutes. I've done way too much running around. But the issue is just the mana pool, honestly. By getting Guardian Greaves, I just don't have the same mana pool to Anchor Smash spam. So basically, there was a bit of a mistake on the Lina there, in that by him using Nether Strike from far away, it allowed him to short range teleport, which meant that Omni Slash ended. If Omni Slash didn't end there, then we would have had a really easy kill. So he should have stayed closer to the jug. I also should have used Pipe. That way he just wasn't scared, maybe. But that was a bit of a mistake from Lina. Because I think he just would have died if we gushed and Omni Slashed. Although I think he was BKB'd at the time, perhaps. But we wasted our Omni, which is not good, so it means we basically just can't fight for a bit. Almost got my eggs. When I'm this close, like less than 1,000, I usually just AFK jungle pretty fast. Just focusing on that and getting eggs is pretty important. I do have to kind of stay close to the team though, because if I just completely AFK and I miss an opportunity for a Ravage in a team fight, we can just lose the game, depending on how the fights go. This is a little dangerous because now I'm very clearly away from my teammates. Oh, we actually see them.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Don't know how he got over there, but he seemed a lot out of position. Alright, now I'm only about 300 away. Now I definitely ditch my team, especially with dead allies. Ditch team, farm items. Ancients are usually a pretty good way to get a bit of gold on Tide. You can stack these up. Luckily with this new little camp here, you don't have to run from Ancients to far away as much. That was a great swap. Alright, so here's my first test at Aghs. And then I realized how far I went and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, Merlin actually died there. Yeah, that felt good. Aghs is also just really good on Tide because the more HP you have, the more Kraken Shell procs you get. So I like the generic stats that I'm getting out of this. It's also going to give me a really good counter push because I can basically just spam out the waves. I think we're having some internet issues occasionally. Oh, this one was theirs, actually. This wasn't us for once. My little jaw's moving. Boom. Counter pushed. This was really dumb. I have no idea why I did a I have no idea why I did a blink anchor instead of just gushing, because I literally could have gushed it for twice the mana and all the safety. That was very bizarre of me. It's literally zero reason for me to blink anchor. But I guess I felt like I could do a blink anchor and not get put more out of position. I just forgot that Venge was there. I also ravaged for that, and all we got was a Spirit Breaker, BKB, and kill. So that was definitely not worth it. But I was pretty tanky, right? That took a lot. Oops. Oh, a gem.
There's a fine line between bravery and stupidity.
Roshan has fallen to the radiant.
Jug grabs Aegis. Yeah, that feels good. I like it. I like the Aghs on Tide. It's really cool. Now, next problem that comes with getting Aghs is that your mana pool is severely more threatened. I was already having a problem with it, but the next issue is that I'm going to be spamming 120 mana every 7 seconds. I have to deal with that now.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Why would he swap the SB getting off? That was really weird. Unfortunately, I had to gush just on the AA.
Dire's middle barracks are under attack. Radiant's top tower is falling.
Go a little creep, he got him.
It's under attack.
Oh, I forgot about that point. That's pretty fun. Dude, pipe is so good. Every 60 seconds? Oh, that's so good. Oh, that was an echo. We're all just kind of staying alive here.
Middle barracks are under attack. Dire's middle barracks is falling.
I was not paying attention to this whole mana drain thing.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen. Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Alright, now we're pretty good. Still missing a lot of mana. Worst gush of my life. Man, I really need to anchor, but I have no mana. I love that range. Oh man, it's so much fun to use. It makes Tide feel so much more ranged, basically. It's really fun.
Dire's top barracks has fallen.
Gush is just such a it's a very, it turns it from like a kind of bad spell to a just an all-around good spell. Not an amazing spell, but like an all-around very good spell, I think. The game that Winter played, he actually went for Octarine for, and I actually think I like that build. More HP, more mana regen, lowers the cooldown of Gush down to like 5.25 seconds, which is really good. I ended up buying an Orchid because I was like, I need a mana regen item. Another good item, I could have bought Lotus Orb, I think would have been really good. Lotus Orb. Could have gone Lincoln's maybe, to put Lincoln's on one of my... I mean, I really should just have a Refresher as well, to be honest. Refresher Orb would have given me the mana regen. It would have given me a double Ravage. Actually, I don't think Refresher would work. I think if you go Aghs, you actually can't go Refresher because you're too stressed for mana if you refresh. So I think I would need either Octarine or Shiva's first before Refresher if you also go Aghs. So I think if you go Aghs, you can't get Refresher. But anyways, this is the new Tide Aghs. I thought it was pretty fun. Tide's still a good hero. He's has slightly more item options late game now, and I think that's always a good thing. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you're enjoying the videos coming back, and I'll be streaming sometime this week probably. And hopefully you guys enjoy. See ya. Bye.